Is there Christmas presents? Why are there stuff?
All right. Well, how you doing on this? Well, how will the firm determine the profit maximizing level of output? Now, I'm going to tell you, you 100% know the answer.
Yes.
Go.
The same spot as like the ETC needs.
What's the profit maximizer? No, Tony?
MC equals MR.
MC equals MR. And you knew that, right?
And up to the man.
No, because this is perfect competition.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Is that a monopoly?
Correct. If it was a monopoly. Yes. All right. What price will the firm charge? And explain. Justin?
The first $25 for price takers, and that's what the average revenue is. So
Okay.
that line is
Because this is Mr. Dot, right? So they all, right? So average revenue is $25, the price is $25. Aiden, should this firm produce in the short run? Why or why not? Okay. Do you remember, what's the rule on the short run? Like to shut down?
Oh, shut down.
Not demand,
Price is less than
not ATC, ABC. So it's priced less than ABC here. Huh? No, so we should continue to produce, right?
So we should produce because the price.
Price is greater than ABC. Okay.
Which ones, where they should shut down in the long run?
In the long run, it's below ATC. In the short run, it's below ABC. Okay. All right. Noah, will this firm earn a profit or incur a loss, and why? Okay, why? Yeah, ATC is above the price, right? So the average total cost is $30 and the price is $25, so you're going to incur a loss. Okay, any questions on that?
And it creates loss in the long run, right?
Well, in the long run, it's going to get back to zero economic profit. So the short run here, you're going to incur a loss. Right. You can only make or lose money.
And just because it's losing money doesn't mean it shuts down. Or
Right. It would only shut down if the price was below $20. Okay, like 19. Yes, sir.
So they're losing money because it's below 30,
Correct.
but they're not shutting down because it's not below 20.
Correct.
Okay.
It would kind of be in between if that was ATC and this was ABC and that was the price. Correct. Okay. All right. Peter?
This one really comes down to fire semester. Amen. Thank you for bringing us together today again to study and learn as much as we can.
for us.
Thank you.
All right, I'll do, ooh, that was kind of fancy. I'll do a review tonight at 7:30. There's stuff in the chapter that like I didn't go over, so just read the chapter or come to review or, yeah, we want to. Take the practice quiz too, because I think it'll give you some indication of what they're quizzing. Wednesday, we should start chapter 30. That's on something with money and inflation. That's 6:28 to 6:33. We'll have the quiz tomorrow. Thursday, I'll do the reviews before and after school. So I'll do reviews Friday. Okay. So that's the AP review. It's on the like this, market structures, which is a big part of the micro exam. And then Friday, 6:41 to 6:47. Okay. Any questions on anything? Okay, here we go. All right, here's what I'd like you could talk. All right, I will say this when you're talking to each other. I am amazed at this. These two are really hurting us on these quizzes, like on redos. People are not really sure how to increase or decrease the money supply. And I'll say to you that like there's always going to be a lot of questions on that on the AP exam or the unit exam. So it's something to try to get straight in your minds. So anyhow, you could go over these by yourself or with the person next to you. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Go.
Which one is which is say I'm buying a bond, yeah, I'm buying your bond that you have right now. So I'm giving you money. So you're the money. I'm the government giving you money. So money's but then when you sell bonds, I had this bond paper, you got money, and I sell you the papers, and I take money out.
Sell stuff, right? You should come back with your questions.
He wasn't here, and I don't remember what money. Oh, no. It's when the government, like, when they have like this certain amount of money they want to spend, and if they spend more than they should, that's not, and they spend less than a certain amount. Nobody's.
I don't know if there's more to that.
It probably is.
That's pretty something I want to I feel like one of those are the-
Policy that is,
Taxes, one month, there are ways that they.
so the current ways of government can.
No, that's something down. Like blowing. All right. Is there anything you or your partner are not confident in? Okay, we'll go. I'll go over that last. Okay, but I'll go over it. Okay, so budget surplus is when tax revenue is greater than government expenditures. All right, which the last time that was true was Bill Clinton was the president. A budget deficit is the opposite. It's when government expenditures is greater than tax revenue. Is greater than tax revenue. That's for the deficit. Okay. All right.
How exactly does the reserve ratio work for the money supply?
Okay. So,
If you increase it,
well, first, let's just make, if the reserve ratio would be 0.1, right? If I, what's the money multiplier here?
that's 10,
And then if I increase it to 0.5,
that's 2.
all right. So that by itself is going to say when you increase the reserve ratio, that the money supply is going to decrease, right? So if you forget, you can play that trick. And also, if the reserve ratio goes up, that means banks have to hold on to more money. They loan out less. Okay. So if you want to increase the money supply, you would decrease the reserve ratio, decrease the discount rate by months. You want to decrease the money supply, you're going to do what we did there, right? Increase the reserve ratio, increase the discount rate, and sell bonds.
So to increase, you want to buy bonds, decrease the reserve ratio, and increase, decrease the
Discount.
discount rate.
So we decrease reserve ratio, decrease discount rate, buy bonds.
That's increasing the money supply.
What else?
That's it. Because it's raw, it's three things. So then to decrease the money supply, you would increase the reserve ratio, you would sell bonds, and you would increase the discount rate. Yes, sir.
Now, if, say a question asked, like, what would happen if the federal funds rate was to be increased, would that be?
Then you're thinking the discount rate would be increased.
Same thing.
Yeah. Good question. Anything else before I get into that? Okay,
So money supply is Ron.
correct. Reserve requirement, open market operations, which is buying and selling bonds, and discounting. All right, so personal withdrawal. So first of all, they said the reserve ratio is 0.1. Therefore, the multiplier, which is 1 over the reserve ratio, equals 1 over 0.1 equals 10. Okay, so the multiplier is 10. So what do they have? The first one is a personal withdrawal. So what I do for the withdrawals, I do the same thing as I would do with the deposit. That I would do with the deposit. I just put a minus sign at the end. So Aiden, if there's $1,000, how much has to be put in reserve requirement? 100, right? So I have 100 in reserve requirement, and then Aiden, how much would be in excess? 900. All right. Anytime they kind of tell you, well, I didn't put it here, but if you want to increase the money supply by its maximum, it'd be the 900 times the multiplier is 9,000. I said it was a withdrawal, so therefore the money supply, I just put a minus, and it's minus 9,000. Okay, so what did I do? I took the withdrawal, put the reserve requirements, took the excess times multiplier, and then just put a negative number next to it. Right. Now, is a bond going to be different? Say, did I say sell bond? If the Fed sells, all right, so I'm the Fed, I'm selling to Mr. Owens, I'm selling him bonds, he's giving me money as a bank. So now the money supply is going to decrease. So the Fed sells $1,000 bond. Does anything when the Fed's interacting with buying and selling bonds, does anything go into reserve requirement? No. So it's $1,000 times the 10 is $10,000. We already said it's sucked out of the system because it's sell. I just put a negative.
Wait, why is nothing going to reserve requirement when?
Because when the Fed, the only time reserve requirement is when demand deposits change, and the Fed isn't putting money in a demand deposit, they're buying bonds.
Another difference be the Fed changes the money supply.
Yeah.
Why are they both negative?
Because one is withdrawing money out of the bank, so the bank can't loan it out. And here is the Fed taking money out of the system. Because if Mr. Owens is the banker, he's giving me, the Fed, $1,000. When the money's in the Fed, it's not in the money supply. Any other questions on that? All right, they ask those type of questions a lot. I just want to get us confident on that. Okay. All right, anything else up here that you are not sure? Go ahead.
Fiscal policy is just all, what's it called?
Chief.
Taxes and government spending.
And remember, since you brought up the government, the tax multiplier is always one less than the spending. Okay. All right. Did I give you room to draw a correctly labeled graph of the loanable funds market if government is running a surplus? Okay, we're dreaming here, but like, let's straight. We're running a surplus. I give you a minute to draw that. What? What are you asking? Loanable funds. Andrew, what am I going to do to this loanable funds graph? Yeah, sorry. What am I going to shift which way?
shift. Supply, right?
Okay, I'll go with that. All right, because government should be able to save, right? Remember, supply is both government and private savings. All right, so I'm going to shift supply right. All right. Now, if supply is right, what's going to happen to real interest rates? They're going to go down. Okay. Now, yes, sir.
Is there no vertical money supply line in the loanable fund?
Correct.
Is that only on the money supply line?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And the tip for money supply is one of the rods. Yeah, I'm just backtracking here for a second. I'll go back. The supply curve in the ADSRAS is horizontal. What would happen to nominal interest rates based on your answer? All right. So what would happen to nominal interest rates based on the supply shift?
Would it change?
Why not?
Because it's moving along.
Moving along with it.
It's not the physical curve is shifting left to right.
Are you talking about loanable funds or this?
That one.
Okay, so let's say we shifted. What would happen to price level here? Does it? Isn't price level going to just stay on the SRAS curve if we shift AD all over the place? So price level is going to stay the same, right? So price level is flat and real interest is down. What has to happen to nominal? It goes down. You got to remember that the formula is nominal equals real plus inflation. So if real interest here is down and inflation is flat, then nominal has to be down also. Okay, that formula comes up a lot in problems. Any questions on that? Good.
So, oh, never mind, I see,
Okay. Yes, sir.
So when it shifts along, the curve, is that when nominal doesn't change?
Yeah, because nominal. Hold it. What do you mean?
Like, what's the situation like that when nominal?
Oh, I think you're thinking of nominal wages,
It's
and it doesn't change in the short run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good? All right. All right. Here we go. Just a little like kind of review for tomorrow. At the equilibrium real interest, did I put this in your thing? Borrowers want to borrow equal. Did I give you a spot for that or not? Okay, why don't you do loanable funds if government does deficit spending? Well, that's what this is. I think. So just draw a graph. Government is spending and they're running a deficit. Isn't there a spot there? Loanable funds if government does deficit spending? Yeah, just draw the graph. You're drawing the loanable funds graph, and the situation is government spending, but they're running a deficit. So they're going to have to borrow.
So is that just supply?
I'd say if they're borrowing, it's demand. Yes, it is. But, by the way, if you shift the supply line, because they're really borrowing. Yeah. That's the AT curve, yeah. No, this is loanable funds, that's different.
So, it is counting now still?
Yeah. No. In the loanable, here. So what's gonna happen here is you're gonna have a shift of demand going right, driving up interest rates. But because government spends, when government spends, you have AD shifting right? So that's that. But now that there's high interest rates, businesses don't want to borrow, and they invest less in businesses, and the AD comes back here, and that's the revenue.
So it goes right because it's government spending.
Right. Now, so government spending then affects that graph by shifting AD to the left. Yes. Right.
And there can be a deficit or a surplus after government spending, but it'll specify in the problem if there is.
Yes. Do you have a question? What's that? Now, Cameron asked me, could be shifted supply left? And I would say you can, because that would have increased the deficit, right? So the government would save less. So the AP exam usually accepts both. I like to go, when they tell you the deficit or surplus, then I use the supply curve, but when they're saying spending, I use the demand curve.
How do you know it's a deficit?
They told you. They'll tell you, they told you. They'll tell you.
You can't tell from the graph.
No, they'll tell you in the problem. And by the way, when you see like government surplus, government deficit, government spending, that's a tip, it's the loanable funds rate. Okay, when you see like the Fed, the central bank, reserve requirement, open market operations, that's a clue, it's the MS. I like to think like when government spends, then I'm shifting the demand because the demand is for government spending investment. And then when they're talking about surplus and deficit, like the surplus increases and the deficit increases, I think of supply. College Board is very liberal on it. Yeah. Any questions on this? All right, so the loanable funds graph is the graph for tomorrow's quiz, right? That's the graph that you'll have for tomorrow's quiz. Okay, and then these are again the shifters. I just put them down here to remind you. I mean, if you just want to put change in borrowing, any change in borrowing is going to affect the demand and government spending. And then any change in savings is going to affect supply. And even though this is here, change in foreign investment, that will not be on the quiz tomorrow because we'll do that in the next unit when we talk about foreign trade. Okay. I don't know where the heck you're going to get them, but sure. Okay. Okay. Did you need this? Yeah. Okay, sorry. Maybe in camera.
I didn't watch yesterday.
What?
I just take a picture.
Yeah.
I didn't watch yesterday.
What is that? Did you just cuss me out? How do I say 6 days detention in Spanish? Are you fluent in Spanish? That's a good skill. All right, give you a minute. An increase in the government budget deficit is most likely to result in an increase of which of the following? Okay, 1 minute. Okay. It's simpler than the simple multiplier. Lorenzo, you have this? Lorenzo got it. All right, Cameron, what do you have?
I have C.
You have C as in Cameron. Heater, do you agree? Well, okay. If I went back, which graph am I using? All right. So if you do anything on the loanable funds, what's the axis? What type of interest? So it's going to be C. Okay. You think
I would still go through the answers.
is that what you do? You go through the answers, then you read the question?
No, just, no.
Well, I totally.
So that question's really only ever going to be,
Huh?
the answers are really only ever going to be interest rate and loanable funds.
I mean, in a way, unless they say shift demand, right? Do you know what I mean? Okay, so we got C. All right, and you know, you could have done that, increase in budget deficit. Did you go? You didn't get anything.
I put my notes.
Who cares about your notes? We have 28 other notes this year.
They got notes too. My business.
We sent you on a mission, you failed. All right. Oh, here we go, the quantity theory of money. And if you want to know something that is going to confuse you, Aiden, this is going to be it. And if you try to read this, God bless you all. And this is not on tomorrow's quiz. I'm starting chapter 30. Okay? And actually, so the quantity theory of money asserts the quantity of money determines the value. And you guys in a way know this. The more money in the system, that makes inflation and devalues money. So as money supply increases, the value of money decreases. It's kind of what they're going to say. And then there's this money neutrality. The proposition that changes in money supply do not affect real variables. And we'll go through this. Sorry. Yeah, we're gonna go through that, but if you'd like it, some people like to write it down. Are we good? Okay. Are we- Was there any food last night besides popcorn?
There was a lot of fun.
I know. I almost went. But then I was thinking like I couldn't talk to anyone, right? Just sat and watched the movie, right?
Yeah. It was some moves. I sat with my shade. I was just like laughing. Everyone pictures.
All right, so sorry I distracted you, but hey, I gotta get you refocused. Money supply in the real world determined by the Fed, bank system, right, when we talk about money supply, we talk about it really as like the Fed, you know, when they put money in, they control the money supply. And that's not, you know, it's not totally technically true because obviously if we don't put money in banks and the banks don't lend out money, the money supply gets impacted. Okay, so it's just like money supply in the real world, money supply, the model we'll use today and pretty much that we use it in the class. Just like if you're paying attention to the real world, you know, the Fed is kind of trying to lift interest rates, which is the discount rate, trying to slow money supply down a little to try to combat inflation.
They're trying to shift the,
And that's yeah. And just on an interesting note, like before the Ukraine, like I looked at this, you know, because everyone says like inflation's going crazy in the United States because Biden's spending money like crazy, and that's why gas prices are going up. But gas prices went up in Great Britain at the same rate as ours, and I don't think he's spending money like crazy in Great Britain. I don't know, but so it's not like it's not a U.S. spending money because we've been like printing money and spending money for years. It kind of is that supply chain thing. So here's a money supply injection. Let me just give you money supply shifts right, and if money supply shifts right, interest rates go down. Well, if interest rates go down, what happens to business investment? Well, I'm listening. Business investment goes up. If business investment goes up, what shifts? AD to the right. If AD shifts to the right, what happens to price levels? All right, they increase. So, all right, if money supply shifts right, price levels increase, and you can see that here. And if price levels increase, what happens to the value of money? The value of money decreases. Okay, so that's what we're trying to show you. Hold it! Where are we going? I got a whole minute. Stop packing up. Don't go anywhere. All right. So did I give you a spot to draw the LRS, SREA, AD in the long run equilibrium? All right, you got a minute. Go. Do it. Hey there. I don't see you, Drew Iron. Do you have that drawn perfectly? Yeah. Labeled? Because till Heater approves your label, we can't leave. You don't have trust in Lorenzo? Oh, that was sad. All right, I'm gonna go see yours. All right, guys, have a great day. Quiz tomorrow. Yeah. You guys play tonight?
with Greg tomorrow match tomorrow. You think about golf, get out like 3 hours.
I know, like, right, it doesn't get those bags. I can see, like,
So, like,
how long does it
I
take
can
to warm up?
slowly see that your mom's like, in bad space. Like, you would actually, a lot of these videos, it's so. Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you.
So, oh my God.
So when you go out.
Yeah. Congrats, buddy.
Type on video, like usually like.
Take a breath. You know, literally like this. Some of them just didn't even say it. They were just like.
I think you don't need it. Your body needs to be the better.
Has to be.
You don't have to take off.
Was that too much to fill out?
I didn't have
Was it no?
sometimes when you like, it helps even not. If you're already warmed up.
Yeah, because if you warm up and you put there, you start making your adjustments.
That and also wear yourself out.
Yeah,
All right.
all right. All right, what do we have coming in here? All right,
Where the soccer is
quiz?
Well, it's just a. Well, not really.
Nice.
Every class, mostly 90% of them starts with a little quiz. Yeah,
It's a couple multiple choice questions.
yeah, multiple